Dragon Age the Veilguard is the new next big game on the block that the mainstream media is trying their very best to shill for, and over the past couple of days we've gotten some very questionable information about the character creator having options like top surgery scars, and now IGN is highlighting how quote, amazing the character creator is by showing off the ugliest models possible, and they are being brutally ratioed over it. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Bioware has a lot riding on this game's success. They have had several failures over the past couple of years, like Mass Effect Andromeda, and of course, Anthem. So they need to make something good here. And there were a lot of people who were initially pretty excited for the Veilguard until we've seen all of the previews, all of the clips, all of the interviews and pieces of information they've released, and they've basically admitted that this is filled with identity politics. And over the past 2 days, we have gotten the character creator. The media has really been showing this off in depth. We've seen a ton of clips online, and it's basically just mental illness, the character creator. There are a lot of unnecessary options and options that people are not going to use, and they have shoved them in for the 0.1% of people who might actually care about them or want them, because they're adding features like top surgery scars. There's tons of random sliders and toggles here that people are roasting. And of course, the mainstream media is trying their very best to promote this. IGN even made a post saying the character creator in the Veilguard is amazing, and they're showing off the ugliest characters known to freaking man. Now, we knew that this was probably going to have some questionable content in it, given a lot of the people behind this project. We know that companies like Bioware are filled to the brim with activists who don't particularly care about making amazing games. They simply care about pushing their political beliefs into content. They feel like they need to win the culture war, and so we end up with content that looks like this, and a lot of people are kind of disappointed. Now, as you can see through this, they highlight just some ugly character models. Look at this Canary. She, whatever they're going for here, they look terrible. People are saying that he looks like handsome Squidward, but he has no redeeming factor. And, some of these models that they're showing off like this, I don't think that this looks terrible. I think it looks okay. I think a lot of the hairstyles look pretty fucking bad, at least in my opinion. But you also have just some very questionable visuals here, like this. Her hairstyle is literally clipping through her eyebrow. This is supposed to be the next AAA video game release, and her bangs are clipping through her skin. Also, on her, modern day Hollywood woman cheekbones, it just does not look good. If I was an average consumer who was watching these previews go down, I would be like, this is terrible. Then you see options like bulge size, vitiligo, heterochromia, asymmetrical ears. We do also, again, know that they are adding things like top surgery scars. And my stance will always be for players, right? Giving them options. So I'm not asking for these to be removed or anything, but I'm still going to sit here and say a lot of this is fucking stupid, like top surgery scars. Instead of having a toggle for this, they simply should have added a customization system where you could add a scar wherever you wanted. It puts it on the character model, you can rotate it, you can stretch it, you can have it be a different color, and then players could have simply added scars in whichever fashion they wanted. And if you wanted to add a scar that looked like that, you could have. The only reason why you wouldn't do that and why you'd add a surgery scar toggle is because of identity politics, because these activists don't care about giving us options. They simply care about pushing these certain narratives into the content that they're creating. This was their focus. It's mental illness, the character creator. And we know that this also features things like pronouns. And I think having pronouns is dumb. Just have a male or female option and then customization options so you can make your character look however you want. I think that a lot of this is disappointing, though. Just identity politics aside, I think the height options are disappointing, at least in these previews. Then you, of course, have tons of problems with femininity. Okay, there are chest and butt sliders, but they don't change. You go from small to concave. You can't go from small to mega. You cannot do that. So the options that a lot of people are going to be using, the majority of people are going to be using, are mediocre compared to these other options that the 0.1% of people may actually use. If you are going to preach about giving players options and you're going to go out of your way to add things like top scars, I should be able to make my female character have the proportions of Bayonetta, E from Stellar Blade, or original Lara Croft. That should not be a problem. And here, I'm not seeing any, super feminine characters, and then the male characters just look like Giga Chads who got punched in the face. They do not look good at all whatsoever. I could not be more disappointed with what I have seen so far. And again, look at something like this with the clipping through the eyebrow. This is a AAA video game. They probably spent $200 million to develop this game, and this is the best that you could come up with. Maybe you shouldn't be worrying so much about identity politics and instead be worrying about creating good content that will sell copies of a game. But I also can't help but point and laugh at the media like IGN, who's highlighting all of this, going, oh my god, it's so stunning and brave, and everybody else is laughing too. It's got 3K likes to 3.5K dislikes. Every Dragon Age character is handsome Squidward but with horns. Proceeds to show the ugliest character designs imaginable. I do not know why it is so hard to have good looking character models. Look at something like Black Desert Online. That game came out over a decade ago and it's still to this day, in my opinion, has the best character customization system I have seen. You can have Eves, you can have big chested amazing waifus, you can have flat Frannies if you want, you can have Giga Chads, you can have Soy Boys, you can have any type of character design you want, but they all still look, to a certain extent, visually appealing unless you're going out of your way and you're giving them like green ogre skin and you're trying to mess up their jawline, things like that. But the majority of characters still look freaking amazing, but the possibilities with that game are endless, and there is not a title that has released today that has, in my opinion, a character creation system that is that fucking good. I don't know why it's so hard for these companies to make something half decent, but instead we get things like this because none of the people in these giant companies like Bioware are good at their jobs. They suck, and they are giving us mediocre content over and over and over. And this is why so many people are upset with the state of the mainstream industry. And instead of trying to defend gamers and saying, oh, hey, people are upset with the way this system is and seems so far, they're voicing how unhappy they are, they go and they shill for these companies because they're afraid to lose their review codes. They're afraid to lose early access. But when early access looks this fucking bad, and these are the first looks we're getting, I gotta be honest, you wouldn't be losing much by not getting previews, by not getting early footage. So right now they are getting absolutely annihilated, both Bioware over Dragon Age the Veilguard and IGN for simping for them, for doing their best to defend them, saying, oh my god, this character creator looks amazing, when it looks like modern day trash. So I will be keeping my eye on this game. We're only about a month away from release. It will be interesting to see how this goes down, but we're supposed to be seeing a lot more previews leading up to launch, and I do not think that this is going to be a positive situation for Bioware. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.